Hey everyone, thanks for joining our video this morning here on Matic, Matic Network on the Tether trading pair on the Binance Exchange. Before I get started, of course, this isn't financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for managing your own risk, doing your own trades, and doing your own research. I'm just here to give my opinion on the market. And speaking of opinions, we're constantly looking to grow our community of like-minded individuals. So there's a free to use Discord server if you'd like to come and collaborate with us. We do a lot of real-time collaboration, a lot of really great discussions. If you need an invite, just throw in a comment. Otherwise, as far as growing the community, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff here on YouTube as well to continue to grow the community. All right, so let's take a look at things here. So I'm going to do a plug for a couple of the videos that I did just about 12 hours ago. I was talking about flipping support and resistance and how to read what those look like. So I'm just going to outline a couple of things here, and then I want to talk about what's happening right now with Matic Network. So, we talk a lot about, finding support and then finding support, and then when it breaks, you now reclaim that as resistance. And then it's resistance again, and it continues to be resistance until it breaks. And then once it does break, what we're looking for is the support of that break. Okay, so just talking a little bit about support and resistance, I'm going to go down to an hourly chart here. Well, actually, before I do that, let's just take a look at this channel. This is the channel that I was pointing out when we did our last update on Matic Network, which was a long time ago. I was, basically talking about the range that we were in. It was a clearly defined range with lows and highs within this range. And while we were kind of poking up and out of them at certain points, I said, we're going to be getting some rejection, which we did. But once we break through this, our next level to pay attention to is up here at about 2.74 cents. All right, so let's go down to the hour chart and let's just talk about what's been happening here, okay? All right, so we had resistance, and then when we broke through it, we created support. We had resistance, we then made it support. Resistance, then support. Resistance, and then support. We just continue this trend following resistance and support, resistance and support, and then we have resistance here. Now, are we going to come back down here and reclaim this as support? Maybe at this point we're not going to come down for a while, because the reason why I say that is now that we've done so many flips of support and resistance, there is something that I was paying attention to on this chart. I'm going to zoom in on this here so we can articulate this a little bit better. A lot of people were looking at this, and myself included. We had this rising wedge, which, your high probability move on this is going to be bearish. A lot of people are going to expect this. We're going to see a little bit of a fake out, but then we're going to come down and fall out of this. Now, obviously, that's not what happened. And then we also are going to take a look at the volume read on this. Lots of volume on this move to the upside. But, I do have to give a bearish bias to this. The last time all of these stochastics lined up here where they're at was about right here, okay? So what did we have here? We had a nice volume on the move to the upside, but all the stochastics were way overbought, and then we saw a bit of a retrace, okay? Now, what I can definitely see happen here, I can see us having some consolidation here, and then we make this move down to do that bullish retest down here at about 3.7 cents, we'll call it. Now, this trend line is also something that's going to have to hold. So if this is going to remain bullish, I would say that this has to hold. One thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to advocate buying Matic at this level. At this point, when we have seen an asset go from, this is our dominant pivot down here, to our pivot up here, this is a 220% move. Now, you have to think to yourself, is this something that I should be buying? No, absolutely not. Now, sure, can it go higher? Can we claim new highs? Of course, but right now we're at a point where your rate of return is so bad you are going to be coming up against some pretty important resistance levels. We are basically, pushed beyond the 786 right now. To the point where we kind of have to take a look at the 887. So let's just take a look and see where the 887 falls in here. So, we're taking a look here basically at 4.1 cents. And at that point, I'm saying that we're probably going to be creating, a top up there. We're at a point where we are at, strong resistance, because if anybody, weathered the storm here, went through the crypto winter, bought here in May of 2019 up here at these highs, they're going to take that first opportunity to get out as high as they possibly can. And then, of course, we talk about smart money and dumb money. Smart money was accumulating back here where we were talking, several days. Actually, it's probably been a couple weeks at this point. We were talking about the accumulation that was occurring here. We were talking about the support resistance flips that we were creating here on a much more macro time frame. So the smart money was accumulating down here, and now to be buying up here, it's not something I ever advocate for. Find something else that hasn't pumped. Find something else that looks like it's an accumulation phase that hasn't been moved, to the upside. That is what I would recommend. I would honestly recommend selling Matic right now at this price, not even trying to get this 4.1 cents. Now, is it going to go higher? It might, but at this point, as it does its break upward out of this rising wedge, which typically is a bearish pattern, if you sell here and then you want to try and reaccumulate here around 3.6 to 3.7 cents, that's your prerogative. But at this point, I would take whatever exponential gains that you were able to get, and I would probably consider just getting out. If you don't want to do that, then you definitely want to have a stop loss at about 3.4 cents. If you're not going to sell here, nothing wrong with that either. You want to keep your stop loss at 3.4 cents. And so basically what I'm seeing here, let me go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Then we'll take a look at Matic versus Bitcoin and see what that looks like. So you've got these levels that you're going to have to pay attention to and that you're going to have to respect from a stop loss perspective. If we start to flip some of these support and resistance levels on the way down, you're going to want to get out. The major level that we need to hold is going to be between 3 and 3.4 cents. This is the range where I would start to sweat. I would start to be worried about my position. Again, I'm not advocating buying up here. I'm not advocating buying here in this range either, unless we do see a spring off of this. If we see 3.4 cents hold, then likely we will be seeing higher numbers. But if you are in Matic and you have been, from down here in the accumulation area, if you see bullish retests and support forming here at 3.4 cents, then I would say that this is probably a good area for a stop loss. But if we break 3.4 cents and then we come back down here to 3 cents, if we see something like this occur, so basically we're saying, all right, so we have this move, we're going to come down. If we see ourselves coming down here in waves, then we see this retest right here. This is where I would be looking to get out of that trade, because more than likely it's going to be a bearish retest, and then we're going to start seeing this type of thing happen where we start moving down. This is a bit extreme. I'm not saying we're going to come back down to this accumulation zone very quickly. I'm just saying if we start flipping some of these support and flipping them to be doing bearish retests on resistance, I'd be looking to get out. So I would actually be looking to get out on a move right here after we start closing 4-hour candles within this 3 to 3.4 cent range. So that's what I'm looking at on Matic versus the US dollar. Let's take a look at Matic versus Bitcoin and see what this is looking at as well here. This far exceeded my expectations, no doubt about that. I had my P&L stopped here at about 200 Satoshis, and now here we are at 525. So we never got stopped out on this trade, but we definitely have gone way beyond where we would expect this to hit. Again, Matic is close to hitting its new basically close to hitting its all-time high. I would expect there to be a pullback on this, right? So I would fully expect there to be a nice healthy retrace. I don't expect this to just continue on to new highs, but nonetheless, we are we're seeing some crazy price action on this. Again, with the stochastics, almost all of our important stochastics are overbought. Let me go down to an hourly and we can take a look at these on a closer view here. Everything is above 75. So the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 3 hour, 6 hour, 12 hour, 4 hour, they're all way up here. I'm actually not really seeing bearish divergence. I guess you could say that we've got bearish divergence showing on the 3 hour, but the 12 hour is looking really good. The 1 hour is looking pretty good, compared to where its previous highs were. We had some nice consolidation here between 430 and 460. And we're at this point up here where we haven't started a rejection yet, and really a decent amount of volume. So if we can see continued volume, then I do say that we probably can go beyond where our highs are. And if that is to happen, let me see where we would be looking. I'm going to go ahead and kind of clean off this chart since we've already seen that the P&L has moved way beyond where we expected here. So if we take a look at this, we're going to do our trend-based fib extension. If we're looking at this from a dominant high to a dominant low, our first target was 407, which we blew through. Technically, our next target's going to be 609, then 734. So yeah, looking at the Bitcoin pair on this, I do think that there is room to move up to the upside. I would be very careful buying here if you are considering buying, because we're basically right at resistance. So we've got this resistance here to pay attention to. If we do make a move to 937, then it is, this is going to be crazy, crazy. So I guess buckle your seatbelts if you were able to get in the accumulation area down here at, at 100 to 200 Satoshis. You've got significant gains out of this. So be very careful buying here. I wouldn't recommend buying here because this has gone parabolic. And yeah, if this goes straight sky high, I'll happily admit that I'm wrong. But the non-emotional trader in me says don't buy this because it's at resistance. I would buy a retest down here of about 350, which is, that's about a 200 point move from where we're currently at. But, with this being at resistance right now, I would just be very careful if you are going to put in any trades here, but I would definitely not recommend it because I do think that it's going to have a nice pullback at some point. But again, I could totally be wrong on this. I was wrong doing a target, and it went way beyond where I was expecting. Nonetheless, I guess that's what I've got on Matic. I say it's gone parabolic, and likely it's going to be hitting resistance and probably pulling back. But if it does push beyond 580, which is at 537 right now, a 50-point move from where we're at right now is not much. And with the price, if it goes and closes, if it closes a 3 or 4 hour above 580, then I do think that some of these targets up here are more likely. 610 to 730 are likely going to happen if we start closing 3 or 4 hour candles above 575. But nonetheless, if you're new to Matic Network, I would probably say just stay away. Okay, so again, that's what I've got on this. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to pop in the Discord and ask away if you have any questions or anything that you want me to take a look at. You can throw those in the comments. I'll be more than happy to take a look at something. Always looking for something that's not pumped, and we can take a look and see if that's something worth taking a position in. So wherever you are in the world, hopefully you're having a good day, good night, good evening.